Page 25, Prelude. On page 24, they're introducing you to a scale. Look out. This opens a whole big door, room or whatever we're getting into here. So let's talk scales. A scale is simply a set pattern of whole steps and half steps. Remember, a half step is the next note up, white or black. From here, a half step up is here. A half step down is here. It's the next note up, white or black. It's the shortest distance between any two notes. A whole step is simply two half steps. So the whole half step. So this to this is a whole step. There's one note in between. Like here, a whole step. This is a half step, but this is a whole step because there's a note in between. This is a whole step because there's a note in between. Whole step, half step. That's what it is. Okay, so we have whole steps and half steps. Well, we do a set pattern of those, and that gives us a scale, some scale, and different scales have different patterns. We're talking major scale here first. I mean, there's like 1,500 different scales total. And some of them we don't use in our system because they use notes that we don't even have. It doesn't matter. There's so many different scales, and we only use a small portion of them. We'll just take it a little bit at a time. We're going to start with the C major scale because the key of C major, remember, has no sharps or flats. I've been saying that. I said keep it in mind. We're going to use it later. Well, it's later this time. It's all the white keys from C to C, C major, and that's the scale. Uses those notes. So if you want to know what the pattern is, you use C major as your guide because the keyboard tells you because of where the black keys are. So here, that's a whole step. Here's whole step, half step, whole step, half step. And that's the pattern. Whole, half, whole, half. Whole, half, whole, half. Whole, half, whole, half. That's the pattern for any major scale. I can start on any key on the piano, white or black, doesn't matter. If I follow that pattern, I'm guaranteed to get a major scale. Might not know what it is, but it's a major scale. For instance, we've had G major before, right? Well, G to G. And you know there's an F sharp in G major, I hope. Well, does that follow that pattern? Start on G. Now whole, half, whole, half. So it follows that same pattern. Let's pick a goodie here. How about here? Don't know what it is, but what's a major scale on that? Well, go up. Whole, half, whole, half. Yeah, it's a major scale. All major scales follow that same whole step, half step pattern. And if you forget what the pattern is, go back to C major and think of a keyboard because that tells you the pattern because the black keys are telling you where the whole steps are. Whole step, whole step, whole step, whole step. Okay. And you can figure out then the scale, whatever it is. On page 24, they're using tetrachord. Tetrachord is a 4-note chord. They're just doing this. Because there's 4 notes here and 4 notes here, and it happens to be the same pattern. Whole, half. Whole, half, and there's a whole step in between. And this is using this one. Some books will use the thumb and leave out the little finger. This one leaves out the thumb. When I was a little kid, a long time ago, a million years ago, I went through the John Thompson books because that's what my teacher used. And I like the John Thompson books very much. I have playlists and lessons on those too, most of them. They get advanced, and I don't do advanced lessons here, good grief. But John Thompson uses tetrachords like this to teach the scales. And it thoroughly, completely messed me up. Completely messed me up. Turned me off to scales, didn't understand them, didn't want anything to do with them. Hated scales. Now, that was a long time. I was eventually forced to learn them correctly with the fingering. I still hated them. It wasn't until I was in college and I was majoring in piano and music education, and you have to learn all that stuff. And we learn or use scales as part of the exercise stuff. We don't use exercises per se. We do everything with scales and so forth. So I had to do the scales properly. I had to learn them properly. And then it clicked. What was it all about and why is it important? And from that point on, I've actually enjoyed doing scales. So once you understand them, what they're for, you can use them as warm-up to get the fingers wiggling. You don't really need them right now, but you could do it for fun. I have videos, playlists on all the major and the minor scales too, because we'll get to minor scales eventually. Just minor scale just has a different pattern of whole steps and half steps. So you can just focus on the majors. So I need you to go to find that playlist. And it's easy to do because the link to the playlist is in pretty much every video in the description. I leave a link to the scale, playlist scale. Save it or bookmark it somewhere where you can get to it. And then you can open that up and find the scale that you want. All the major scales are there. And minor scales too, but skip the minor scales, just do the major. And do what I say in the video. Now watch the introduction video too so you understand how to use it, but then do as I say in the video. I do a little bit of technique with the wrists and accents and stuff and trill exercise and so forth. Do it all for the beginner portion. Don't try and do, well, I'm just going to do advanced now. Because I have the beginner, intermediate, and advanced all in the same video because I'm too lazy to make separate ones. Just do the beginner. You only need a few minutes a day. Don't spend like 15, 20 minutes or 30 or whatever on scales. Just a few minutes a day. Just play it through. Focus on what I'm saying in the video. And that's good enough. The idea is you're going to do it day after day after day. And that's what drills it in. It's not a whole lot in one day. It's a little bit day after day after day. That does the magic. Okay, if you're looking for a secret, that's the secret. A little bit each day. That's it. And that's what I'm recommending you do. Don't use tetrachords. Just forget it. They do give the proper fingering for the C major scale at the bottom of the page, but I don't like using music when dealing with scales. I want to focus on the keyboard and the hands and the technique and the fingers. I don't want to be reading music. Here I am looking at the keyboard when I'm working on scales. When you see a scale passage in music, like in Prelude, that first measure is a C major scale. There, I'm not going to look at the keyboard because I can already play the scale and I'm comfortable with it. But when I'm practicing the scales, I'm focused on the keyboard. Yeah, I don't use music. Now, let's talk Prelude. Look it over. It's a page long. It's longer than that because it has a DC Alfine, but it's a page of music. Treble and bass clef. No sharps or flats in the key signature. We are in the key of C major, so now I start telling you, go to my scale video on C major and do the C major scale. 1 octave up and down is fine. And 4/4 time signature. Now let's take a look at this one hand at a time here and see what we got. Right hand, you're starting here. Here. It's a 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. And then in the second line, you have the same notes, but there's an 8VA above the steps. You go up here. And then in the third line, the notes are here. And this is just a C major scale going down. But it's an 8VA, so you're up here. Kind of fast. It's a C major scale, and once you learn the scale, that's what you're going to think about. You'll see a lot of scales in music. You'll recognize them over time. Oh, I know what this is. So you're looking at the first note and the last note, and you're just playing the scale. Makes reading music a lot easier, rather than trying to read each note. You have to be careful because occasionally they'll leave out a note somewhere, or they'll double a note, or they'll do something different, and you have to catch those. And the last line, the 8VA went away and you're down here. Okay. Left hand, well, you're starting down here and it's a C major scale going up. And the second line, the notes are the same except both hands go up an octave. Both hands are, because it says both hands. If it didn't say both hands 8VA, then it would just be the right hand. But since both hands are here, so you're up here. And then in the third line, you're still 8VA here. So instead of this G sharp, it's this G sharp. And the last line, the 8VA goes away. Now you're down here. Here. So So then we put the hands together and see what we get. And you're here and here. It says. So it's going from the first measure to second. And then the next line, both hands are going up. The left hand plays first. So I'm going to start with the left hand, get it here, ready to go. I'm going to here. And then as it's playing, I'll move the right hand up. Now going to the third line, both hands are 8VA, so you're up here. And I think it would be easier in the right hand if at the end of the line, if you ended that, play that half note with a thumb, because when you go to the next line, you got to be here. And this way you're in position. So I'm going to do that. Now, here. So we're up here. Thumb, both thumbs. And then the right hand, third finger here. And now the AVA goes away, so the right hand plays first. I'm going to go here. And the left hand, I just get it out of the way. And as I'm playing the right hand, then I'll get the left hand down where it goes, somewhere. See, I'm getting one hand, I'm moving one hand at a time, basically. And I prefer to do that rather than trying to move both hands. You can do that when there's only one hand or the other playing. And that's what this is. Now, once I put the hands together, then I'll go back over and say maybe a line at a time or so, and I'll get rid of any hesitations. No hesitations. And if you have to practice the hand moves, practice them. We do, but no hesitations. And once they're gone, I think about the articulation, and this is very connected. However, I think these are slurs. They're not phrases. So I'm going to pretend every 2 measures is a phrase, and I'll lift up after that. Otherwise, I'm connecting it. All these eighth notes, connect them. I want that to sound like one long line. And then lift up. Lift up. So I'm connecting every 2 measures, and it's the eighth notes that we want to hear. And once I do the articulation, then I add the dynamics. Forte, heavy. And that's the eighth notes. This, soft. Then come down a little bit. Down a little more. The left hand's very soft. And then down more. See, this line got a little softer. It's like a great big long diminuendo in there written in for you. The fermata at the last line here. Just hold that as long as it feels right. The DC al fine sends you back to the beginning. So you're going to go from here to here. You can lift up there. It's a new phrase when you go back to the beginning. Then once I do the dynamics, then I add the speed. And this is a feel of the piece. It's not the beat, because the beat, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1. If you can play it that fast, that's fine. But if you can't, slow it down. These eighth notes got to be even and controlled. If you that fast, that's fine. See, the eighth notes tend to slow things down, where the quarter notes and half notes want to speed it up. You got to find somewhere that fits, but just whatever you can do accurately with even eighth notes. That's what we're after right now. You can speed it up later. Now, at the end of the second line, there's a second time retard. That means after you do the DC al fine, you retard. Now, and at the bottom, there's a retard there too. Okay. It's not exactly written correctly, but you haven't had the term yet. So at the bottom, when you retard, there and you hold, when you go back to the top, go back to the original speed you were going and keep going. Because normally when you would retard on something, you'd stay at that new speed. You'd stay slower unless the music tells you to do something different. Here, I'm just telling you at the beginning, when you go to the beginning, go back to the original speed. There is a term for it, but we haven't had it yet. How long you hold that fermata at the bottom of the page is up to you. You just hold it a lot. It feels right. If I do it with a metronome, I'll double it and I'll hold it for 2 counts instead of 1 so I can stay with the metronome. Don't forget the natural accents. They become really, really super important, even more so when you got these runs. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's play this together very slowly and check the notes and the rhythms. I'm not doing the dynamics. We're not performing it. Just notes and rhythms, but we will do the DC fine, and I'll hold the fermata note 2 counts instead of 1. Now, because there's eighth notes all over the place, I'm going to put the metronome on eighth notes. So it's beating eighth notes. 1 and 2 and. But I'm going to give us 4 quarter note counts to come in. 1 and 2 and ready and go and. And 4 and. And 4 and. And hold to the top.